What if I told you there was a time the youngest member of a team of four was forced to fight a group of evil clones of mutants and won? And it made the main character question, has he crossed over the edge? This whole event happened in the Infinity War comics, where all the evil doppelgangers had to kill the real heroes. However, the story where Johnny had to fight X-Men doppelgangers happened in Fantastic Four issue 368, where the book started off with the Invisible Woman redirecting a gamma bomb explosion with a force field for Thor to take it off to the air. Then Sue asks a doppelganger of Reed, where is her real husband? Johnny asks her to take some personal time due to her being hurt after what happened to the real Reed Richards, but Sue, being the strong mother that she is, she says no, because Reed needs her now more than ever. And Ben is beefing with the Hulk like always. The Human Torch now flies off to clear his mind, feeling guilty about the harsh things he said to Reed over the ways he runs the team. Feeling worried about what Sue's going through and worried about his nephew Franklin, Johnny being filled with constant pressure and anxiety, he thinks maybe it's time for the Fantastic Four to call it quits. But then a concussive blast appears. Doppelgangers of the X-Men, and one of himself, Wolverine and Cyclops, try to land a hit on Johnny, but Johnny's just too fast for them, using his flame to create a molten wall to distract them. But then a doppelganger of Storm appears, and with Johnny's experience with teaming up with the real Aurora, the Human Torch knows this is going to be a lot more challenging than he originally thought. So Johnny had to get away, giving him a few good moments to make flame decoys of himself to confuse the evil X-Men. And it was working for a short moment. The evil doppelganger of Jean Grey was going to use her telekinesis to despair the flame decoys, but Colossus interrupted by pouring water on the flaming decoys, which Johnny used this opportunity to heat up the water and turn it into steam to keep them occupied for his next move. The Human Torch may be outmatched, but never outclassed. Storm's evil doppelganger returned and cleared the steam with her wind abilities. Meanwhile, the Human Torch is fighting his own evil doppelganger, dodging Storm's lightning, only to find out they're leading him into a trap. Jean Grey's evil doppelganger using her telekinesis to force Johnny to fly low, right into Colossus and Cyclops. Johnny's only hope is to speed up, which he did, and he melted through the grinder. And right when the Human Torch was about to fly away, but Storm's doppelganger now makes her move. And this is Storm we're talking about, fellas. Johnny knows, with Storm's weather manipulation, he cannot beat someone like her. So he makes another retreat, but Wolverine's doppelganger jumped by surprise. Johnny dodging left and right, keeping himself away from Wolverine's claws as he could. The Wolverine doppelganger claimed that him and the other doppelgangers are never alive in the first place, and they can always be replaced if they lose. Unlike the real originals, they can always lose their lives permanently. That claim itself really turned the fight around. Now that Johnny Storm doesn't have to hold back anymore, so he turns up the heat and blasts it at Wolverine. Which turns out he was telling the truth. That means the Human Torch doesn't have to worry about burning the X-Men doppelgangers alive, because they're not alive to begin with. Colossus jumps behind him, holding Johnny tight. The X-Men doppelgangers thinking they got him, thinking that they won. But in actuality, this was all part of Johnny's plan. These X-Men doppelgangers may look like the real X-Men, they might be as strong as them, but they're not as smart, which gives Johnny a huge advantage in this battle. And for what they did to the real Reed Richards, Johnny Storm goes Nova.
Supernova!
It took all of Johnny's concentration to keep his flames focused on the X-Men doppelgangers and prevent the roof from igniting, but just before he thought the battle was over, he forgot. There was one more doppelganger on the loose. It was the doppelganger of himself, telling the real Johnny Storm that the X-Men doppelgangers will return, and he no longer have to worry about converting the real Johnny Storm to the dark side, because what he just did was much worse than the Human Torch doppelganger could ever made him do. The doppelganger flew off into the portal, leaving the real Johnny Storm questioning his actions. Like most heroes, they have a moral code, and Johnny has a huge fear of burning people, so when he flew over back to the Baxter building to reunite with other heroes, Johnny questions about whether the alien doppelganger was right or not, Have the real Johnny Storm crossed over the edge? Or worse, did he even care? And the next page, we see the real Colossus standing right next to Johnny, telling him that he is pleased to see him, and it will be an honor to fight with him. Johnny said, "Yeah, same to you," feeling so weird to be standing next to someone who he flash fried only minutes ago. The book ended with all the heroes being teleported into a different location, and just like that, the issue ends. Alright, that's just gonna have to wrap things up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was a really fun read, and I just love how this book really shows that if Johnny locks in, he locks in. And I just love how they show that how dangerous Johnny can be when he lets loose, and it make him question about his moral code. You guys seem to enjoy my Johnny Storm videos, and with the Fantastic Four now being on Disney Plus, I was struggling on which issue to talk about. The really cool one where he fights the X-Men clones, or the really sad one where he watches a kid die. I chose a really cool one, but let me know if you want me to talk about the really sad one. Anyway, if you're someone who loves Marvel's First Family, Marvel, DC, Invincible, or just comics in general, hit that like button. That'll be awesome. Subscribe if you're new for more content like this, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.